Hello, and welcome to another in the Ask the Data Governance Coach video series. And today's question is one that I get asked in various different ways and always by every client I work with. And the question is, what order do I implement data governance in? Now, this is a really good question because if you've seen any of my other videos or read my blogs, you'll know that I'm not a fan of implementing data governance in a big bang, all in one go way. I'll even go as far as to say I've never seen it work that way. So I'm always a great fan, and I'm always championing the fact that you should implement data governance iteratively in phases. Now, that's a really simple concept. Everybody goes, great, that's wonderful, Nicola. What are the phases? How do I know what order to do things in? And that's where the answer isn't quite so straightforward, because I think that's going to depend on your organization and what's driving your data governance implementation. What problems are you trying to solve initially? And that will help you plan your phases. Now, that said, I would say that without fail, all of the data governance initiatives that I've been involved in over the years have always started with the first two phases the same. Now, the first is getting some kind of mandate. So we can't go off running around our organization telling everybody they've got to do data governance and to come and do things with us if we haven't got the authority to do that. You're just going to go nowhere. And I say that from experience. I can tell you that enthusiasm and boundless energy that I had 20 odd years ago just doesn't cut it. I have to have authority to do this. I'm not going to win people over by sheer passion and enthusiasm for the need for this. I need somebody very senior saying, we're going to do data governance at our organization, and I've appointed Nicola to go and lead the initiative. So number one, let's go and find ourselves get a mandate. So a sponsor telling us to go ahead and do this. Now, the second thing I do is identify my senior stakeholders. Now, ultimately, these are going to be my data owners. I just don't really tell them that first off because that tends to scare them off, which is the last thing we want to do. But I need to identify my senior stakeholders and I need to start engaging with them. Because if we do data governance properly, we're not doing it to them, we're doing it with them. And these are the people that we need to have on board. They need to feel like they're involved all the way through. They don't know anything about data governance, but we need to be giving them options, getting them to make decisions so that when they sign off on what a data owner needs to do, it's really easy for you to say, and do you think you have that role for such and such data? So those are the first two phases that I always do and would always recommend that you do before you go any further and think about anything else. Now, next, we have to think about, assuming that we have now designed ourselves the data governance framework, or at least the beginnings of it, we need to start working at how we're going to actually roll it out and implement it across our organization. Now, this is where it gets it depends on your organization kind of answer, because it's going to depend on all sorts of things. You might be having some big transformation program that's putting in place a new, let's say, an ERP system or something. Well, then clearly, the next phase of your data governance initiative will be to work with that program or project and make sure that the data for their new system is going to be fit for purpose, that you've got the right stakeholders involved, i.e. your data owners and your data stewards, etc. But what if you don't have an ERP program going on? Well, perhaps you have another big system going in place. Same kind of answer. But it could be that you've got a regulatory requirement for certain data to be good enough, in which case, look at that. Perhaps, you've got some known issues in something. Perhaps finance are always moaning about their data being wrong. Well, then perhaps we do it by data domain and we start with looking at our finance data. So you can see a bit of a theme here. It's not easy. I can't give you here's a perfect list of 10 phases. And at the end of it, you'll all be living happy ever after with your data all perfectly managed. But I think this is why it's really important that we need to identify our senior stakeholders in stage 2 and then really work with them to identify what's going on in our organization. What are the big challenges? Why are we doing data governance? And in which order should we implement it to deliver the most benefits at the right time for our organization? So I hope that's helped you, at least give you some ideas on how to work out the order in which you should be doing your data governance activities. If you have found it helpful, please help me in my mission to help as many people as possible be successful with data governance by liking, commenting, sharing this video on your choice of social media. It really helps get the message out there. When I was first doing data governance, I felt so lonely and vulnerable. And I really go out on my way to try and make sure others are not feeling the same, that we can give them some advice that just didn't exist 21 years ago. So thank you very much. And I hope to see you back here soon.